Hey everybody, welcome to the Geekdom. Today I am going to do a book review on Raymond Feist, Exile's Return, and it is the last book, or book 3 of the Conclave of Shadows. And basically this book is different from the other two I reviewed because we start off by being introduced to a new point of view, which is Caspar's, and he was the enemy from the last two books, except it wasn't really him so much. It was the evil magician that was kind of using some kind of magic to mess with his mind and make him do irrational, evil political choices. So here he's basically exiled, and he finds himself in the situation where he's almost turned into a slave, and then he escapes, and then he's with like these people who are impoverished, and it was kind of like a role reversal, and he kind of understood how some of his small folk felt, and so it was interesting to see him kind of start to understand what those who aren't born into royalty or lordship, how they don't have as much and how they deal with their situation, what they're given. What's interesting is for a lot of the time where he's with the little family that's kind of poor, he's indifferent for a lot of situations. He'll think about, like, he'll be like, oh yeah, they're poor and blah blah blah, and then he'll think with his royal mind, he'll be like, well, we need them this way because of that. And so it was kind of like an indifferent yet understanding, and I liked how there was a transition, and he didn't place himself with them too much because he is from a wealthy background, but he didn't disregard them completely. So I felt that was more realistic than him sympathizing wholeheartedly. And the only thing is that didn't last very long. And then so later he progresses, and then that's when the main conflict happens, and he stumbles across some kind of artifact that is evil, and he has to take it to various places to figure out what to do with it and get rid of it, whatever. That's the main mission that we are given. And over time, Caspar also realizes how much was the evil magician influencing him and how much was actually himself. So he realized he wasn't completely a good person before the magician even got a hold of him and his mind. So that was another realization that I enjoyed and I liked about this book. And then after that, like, about halfway we're like introduced to the main conflict that I mentioned earlier, and it just goes on and on. He goes to a bunch of different places, and he eventually goes back to Talon, who was the main character for the other books, and they, they come to some kind of terms, and they realize, it was mostly the magician, and, he helps, because this artifact that they find is very, very evil, and he helps try to get rid of it or whatever. And the only thing is, towards the end, we start getting a lot of information that someone who hasn't read Raymond E. Feist before would not truly understand. They'll give you the basics, like, about, like, I forget his name. He's like half dragon lord, half human. I forget his name. But Pug's best friend. We get like the basics of his story, and but then if you're or if you haven't read any of his other works, you're like, I want to know more. Like, we're only given the basics, and we also get that about Pug's backstory and a little bit about Nicor and Pug's wife and I think Mark Goes to Black, or, and then, so if you haven't read the other books, you're kind of like, those things sound cool, we're only given the bare minimum, I want to know more. And so it's kind of not that fun if you haven't read the other books, so I would suggest not reading this series unless you've read the other ones, but you can still read the series without reading the other ones. The only thing is you'll be wanting more, so I guess that could be a positive thing if you want to continue reading Feist, but if you're not interested in reading Feist, then you're just going to be at a loss of information. So what is crazy about this book is that you're left on this major cliffhanger, because like this artifact, they really need it out of their world. Like it's really dangerous to have. And then they leave you on this cliffhanger where they find tons of these artifacts and there's no resolution. They don't even get rid of that one artifact that they found in the first place. So you're sitting there like, okay, we didn't even get the main resolution. So I thought like perhaps there's more books to this one, but this is the end of the Conclave of Shadows. So I don't know which books go to this one, if they've even been created yet, or what, but there's just like this major cliffhanger, and I was like, you can't end a series like that. I don't know why Raymond E. Feist does this. He does this sometimes, where you're just like, whoa. Because the Talon of the Silver Hawk and the one that comes after it, the King of Foxes, those go together. Like you could read those two and be done with the series. And then you get this one, who you're not even following the same main character anymore, and you get lifted up on a cliffhanger, and that's the end of the series, or that's the end of this saga. I don't know. So that kind of sucks, because now, you know, I'm borrowing these, so I don't own all my Raymond E. Feist, and so I'm like, what, I'm like forced to buy the next saga or something? Like I don't get any closure? This is frustrating. And then we also don't even figure out what Caspar decides to do, because he can't go back to his royal, well, I don't know if he's not really a royal, he's related to Roz, but his lordly ways, because he's exiled and it's illegal for him to be in the city that he used to rule. So we don't even get to see what Caspar decides to do. So I don't know. I was really disappointed, because I'm like, oh, I finished those two, you know, they go together, they complete each other, you could finish those, be done, and then I get to this one and I get this cliffhanger, and I don't even get closure with my main character either. So I'm kind of confused at this point. If you guys know what books go to these ones, please tell me. But apparently Talon of the Silverhawk, the King of Foxes, and this one go together somehow. I can see how the other two go together. This one, I feel like I can't even tell you guys what happened, because I can't, because nothing happens. You get the main story that you figure out that they have to solve, you know, they have to get the artifact out of their world, and then they find more artifacts, and that's it. And I'm like, that's not even ending. So whatever. I feel like, you know, that there needs to be some continuity, and I don't know where to go next, because I don't own these books, and I thought I'd just be done for the time being, but it looks like there's more, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. So that's my review. Otherwise, it was pretty solid. I liked the character development in Caspar, but that was mostly just towards the beginning. Raymond E. Feist did his typical taking something small and made it huge. Not as bad as I've seen it before, but he did do it. That's what he does. And other than that, and it's pretty good, except for the fact that I don't know what happens next, and that's the end of this little segment here. So I don't know how his books work. So thank you for your time. Bye.